What if I told you that the most powerful transformation in human psychology happens not in the light, but in complete and utter darkness? Stay with me, because what Carl Jung discovered about the Phoenix moment will completely shatter everything you thought you knew about empaths and their breaking point. Carl Jung said that the psyche contains within it an alchemical process, and nowhere is this more evident than in the empath who has reached their absolute lowest point. You see, people think that when an empath breaks, they're destroyed forever. But Jung's research revealed something far more extraordinary and frankly far more powerful than anyone could imagine. Here's what most people don't understand about what happens after an empath's darkest moment. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll never see vulnerability the same way again. According to Carl Jung, there exists in every human psyche what he called the death-rebirth archetype. It's the psychological pattern of complete annihilation, followed by total reconstruction. But what happens when someone with extraordinary emotional depth experiences this process? What Jung discovered about post-traumatic transformation will shock you. Empaths don't just survive their darkest moments. They undergo what Jung termed psychological metamorphosis. The old self, the one that prioritized everyone else's needs, the one that absorbed everyone's pain, the one that believed their worth came from how much they could give, that self has to die. And in that death, something absolutely unprecedented emerges. But here's where it gets dangerous, and why toxic people should be absolutely terrified of what comes next. Carl Jung said that the darkest moment is actually what he called the nigredo stage in psychological alchemy. It's the blackening, the complete dissolution of the false self. For empaths, this moment comes when they've been betrayed one too many times, manipulated beyond their limit, drained to the point of emptiness. They hit what Jung termed absolute zero, the point where they have nothing left to give, not even to themselves. And this is precisely where the magic begins. Because in this void, stripped of all pretense and all people-pleasing patterns, the empath finally meets their authentic self. And that self is nothing like what anyone expected. Listen carefully to what happens next in this transformation, because this is where everything you thought you knew gets completely inverted. According to Carl Jung's theory of individuation, true power emerges only after complete surrender. The empath in their darkest moment stops fighting. They stop trying to fix everyone. They stop explaining themselves. They stop caring about being understood. They enter what Jung called the sacred withdrawal, pulling their energy back from everyone who has been feeding off them. And in that silence, that absolute stillness, something begins to crystallize, a new identity, a new understanding, a new way of being that is completely impenetrable. Here's what Jung understood that most people miss. The darkest moment isn't the end. It's what he called the initiation. Every spiritual tradition, every mystery school, every transformative process requires a death before rebirth. The empath's darkest moment is their initiation into their true power, and what emerges from that darkness is absolutely unstoppable. Carl Jung discovered that when someone descends into what he called the underworld of the psyche and returns, they bring back what he termed the treasure hard to attain. For empaths, this treasure is discernment, it's boundaries, it's the absolute certainty of their own worth independent of anyone's validation. They've been to hell and they've realized they're fireproof. The pain becomes what Jung called the philosopher's stone, the element that transforms everything it touches. Every betrayal becomes data, every manipulation becomes wisdom. Every moment of darkness becomes fuel for their ascension, and the person who emerges from this process is unrecognizable. But here's what will absolutely blow your mind about their transformation. According to Carl Jung, there's a phenomenon he called enantiodromia, the tendency for things to transform into their opposite when pushed to extremes. The empath who was endlessly giving becomes ruthlessly selective. The one who was infinitely patient becomes decisively final. The one who saw everyone's potential becomes focused only on what people actually demonstrate. This isn't bitterness. This is what Jung termed conscious evolution. They don't lose their heart. They gain their spine. They don't stop feeling. They start filtering. They don't become cold. They become clear, crystal clear. Carl Jung observed that the most profound transformations happen when someone integrates their shadow completely. The empath's shadow contains all the power they gave away, all the anger they suppressed, all the boundaries they never enforced. When they hit their darkest moment, they're forced to confront this shadow, and instead of rejecting it, they embrace it. They reclaim their rage and transform it into fuel. They acknowledge their capacity for detachment and wield it strategically. They accept that not everyone deserves their energy and become fiercely protective of it. What Jung called the integration of the shadow creates what he termed the individuated warrior. And that's exactly what the transformed empath becomes. Here's the moment when their transformation reaches completion and why they become absolutely magnificent. According to Carl Jung's research on psychological rebirth, there comes a point when the old operating system completely shuts down and a new one boots up. For the empath who has survived their darkest moment, this manifests as what Jung called radical authenticity. They stop performing, they stop pretending, they stop dimming their light to make others comfortable. They speak their truth without apology. They set boundaries without guilt. They walk away without explanation. They've learned what Jung termed the art of sacred selfishness, the understanding that protecting your energy isn't cruelty, it's survival. And they no longer feel the need to justify this to anyone. Carl Jung said that those who have faced death and returned are marked by what he called numinous presence. There's something different about them. You can see it in their eyes. They've touched something most people will never reach, a depth of understanding about human nature, about their own resilience, about what truly matters. The empath who has survived their darkest moment carries this presence. They don't try to convince anyone of anything anymore. They simply exist in their truth. And that truth is so solid, so unshakable, that it either attracts genuine souls or repels toxic ones. There's no middle ground anymore, and they're perfectly fine with that. According to Carl Jung, there's a difference between wounded healers and transformed warriors. Wounded healers help from their pain. Transformed warriors help from their power. The empath who has emerged from their darkest moment has completed what Jung called the alchemical transformation. They've turned their lead into gold, their suffering into strength, their deepest pain into their greatest asset. They become what Jung termed the individuated self, complete within themselves, requiring nothing from anyone to feel whole. They still feel deeply, but they choose carefully where that feeling goes. They still care profoundly, but they prioritize people who reciprocate. They still give generously, but only to those who appreciate it. But here's the part that will send chills down your spine, and why their transformation is permanent. Carl Jung discovered that once someone completes the individuation process, they cannot return to their old patterns. It's psychologically impossible. The empath who has been through their darkest moment and emerged transformed cannot go back to being the people pleaser, the emotional sponge, the perpetual giver. That version of them died in the darkness. What remains is what Jung called the self-actualized individual, someone who has faced their absolute worst, survived it, and realized that they're so much stronger than they ever imagined. They've learned that their sensitivity is not a weakness, but a superpower when directed consciously. They've discovered that their empathy is sacred and should be offered only to those worthy of it. According to Carl Jung's lifetime of research, the most powerful individuals are not those who've never been broken, but those who've been shattered completely and reassembled themselves with gold in the cracks. The Japanese call this kintsugi, but Jung called it psychological alchemy. The empath who has survived their darkest moment embodies this perfectly. They are more beautiful for having been broken, more powerful for having been destroyed, more whole for having been fragmented. They've integrated every part of themselves, the light and the shadow, the softness and the steel, the vulnerability and the invincibility. And what emerges is what Jung termed the complete human being. Carl Jung said that the goal of life is not to avoid suffering, but to transform it into meaning. The empath who has faced their darkest moment and emerged victorious has completed this sacred task. They've taken their deepest pain and alchemized it into wisdom. They've transformed their greatest vulnerability into their most formidable strength. They become living proof of Jung's most profound insight, that within every descent into darkness lies the seed of ascension into light. That within every moment of complete destruction lies the blueprint for total reconstruction. That within every empath's darkest hour lies the birth of something absolutely magnificent and utterly unstoppable. This is the psychology of the transformed empath, and once you understand it, you'll realize that the darkest moment isn't the end of their story, it's the beginning of their legend.